Hey everybody, Scott Conant here. Thank you for joining me in my home here in Scottsdale, Arizona. We are gonna make stuffed artichokes. Now, I know that these look intimidating, but we're gonna break it down. We're gonna make the most delicious filling for this that you've ever had in your life. And believe me, it is spectacular. I am so excited about this. I'm excited to share it with you. Let's start, shall we? First thing you're gonna need to do is have a bowl of ice water. So if you can have that prepped ahead, that'd be wonderful. And as soon as you get it, I rolled this lemon out. I'm gonna cut it in half. I'm gonna squeeze the juice of the lemons directly inside this water. And then I'm gonna put the lemon halves inside there as well. And that is gonna be what we call an acidulated water for the artichokes when we cut them. But first, before we start doing that, we're gonna start to make the breadcrumb mixture that's gonna go inside these artichokes. So I have about 1.5 cups of breadcrumbs here. I have some parsley. I'm gonna chop this up really quickly. You should have some anchovy, a lemon. You should have some crushed red pepper, some Parmesan cheese. It's amazing how fragrant and delicious these breadcrumbs become with all these ingredients. Yeah, I mean, you know all these ingredients, use them, maybe not the anchovy every day, but use any of them pretty much any day, every day. But somehow, for some reason, when they're all mixed together in these breadcrumbs for the artichoke, they take on a whole different beautiful expression of like this literal symphony of flavors and deliciousness. So the anchovy that I have is a little bit broken up. It's kind of this paste in oil. So I'm just gonna add that inside here. If you have whole fillets of anchovies, I would suggest just chopping them up nicely. That's great. I'm gonna add, a little bit of crushed red pepper, about a teaspoon or so, maybe a little more, depending if you like things a little spicy. The zest of the lemon, again, just the zest, not the pith. We don't want to add that bitterness to anything. So, delicious. And we're going to add that to this breadcrumb mixture as well. And then we're going to cut this lemon in half, and we're going to use the juice inside these breadcrumbs as well. So a lot of flavors being added here. Beautiful. All right. I think you get the hint. You get the idea. Let me cut this in half. Let's do this. Beautiful. I'm going to use the juice. There's a lot of seeds in here, so I want to make sure that I strain that bit out. Don't use that bit. I'm going to add some olive oil here also. I'm going to add the olive oil to the juice, and then I'm going to add it in together with the breadcrumb mixture. So that way it's not adding too much liquid into that breadcrumb. It'll get all kind of clumped up. So I want to be cautious about that. So that's ready to go. I have the same microplane that I zest the lemons with. I have some garlic here, and I'm going to grate that directly inside the breadcrumb mixture. Good. I don't want to get my gloves. Let's do this. All right. I don't want to get my gloves in there. All right, so that is grated, beautiful. I just want to get that last bit. Every bit counts. Beautiful, good. All right, now I'm going to take a fork and I'm just going to mix all this stuff up together. And use a fork so that it doesn't get super clumpy. So when we do this, see that? We don't want it to clump up. We want it to become like wet sand. And we'll just spend a moment kind of breaking up those little, if it gets a little balled up, we could even add a little bit more breadcrumbs if you want. We're going to add a little bit of salt to this also. I almost forgot the Parmesan cheese. So we don't want to forget the parm. And you know, these are kind of very traditional around Rome. And if you don't want to sub parm out for pecorino cheese, pecorino romano, I think nobody's going to shout at you for that. You could also go half and half if you want. Whatever your personal preference is. I'm going to go just with the Parmesan today because I think it's delicious. And that's what I have in front of me. So that's what we're going to use. All right. But if you had pecorino, I know a lot of people prefer pecorino. That's fine. Do it. No judgment. All good. Beautiful. All right. That is done. This, look at that. Does yours look like this? I'm sure it does. If it doesn't look like this, then you did something wrong. I'll be honest with you. So that's the way it should look. It looks good. All right. Now I want to talk about artichokes a little bit because I think it's important. I think sometimes people take these artichokes and they think that they're a lot more work than what they actually are, but they're not. They're really simple. So I think it's important to start by kind of clearing off the bits that look a little, I don't know about, I wouldn't say unseemly, but kind of the parts that just don't belong, right? Clean it up a little bit on the outside. I have a serrated knife here. You can use a bread knife, that's cool. Just take these bits off. Clean it up nicely. Leave about a ½ inch on the bottom of that, and you could roast directly on it. Discard that part. As I work, I like to dip it inside that acidulated water so these parts don't turn brown. Also, what I'm going to do is cut about 3/4 of the way of the artichoke off on the top. Now this gets a little messy, but it's all good, right? So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to cut that part off. Now that very center bit, the leaves are very tender, but underneath that, there's a lot of threads almost that are unpalatable. So you don't want to eat that part. So what I like to do is I take a spoon and I get in there. Now this is a little bit of a messy part as well, but I just peel those parts back, just like that. And then you could start to see those, here, let me take this out to show you, these little threads on the inside. So you want to remove those bits. And I just use the tip of a knife, just like that, and pull it back. I used to work in a restaurant years ago where we had artichokes like this on the menu, and they were different preparation, but artichokes nonetheless. And there's no quicker way to learn the breakdown of an artichoke than to have to do cases and cases and cases of them at a time. So I'm going to add it again into that water, so suddenly you see it start to oxidize very quickly, and you want to be cautious of that. You don't want that oxidization to occur. So now I'm going to take these other bits. There's some thistles under there, and I'm just going to take those pieces out because I don't want it. It's very difficult to eat that. It's unpalatable, hard to digest. It's not a great bit, so you can get rid of that. Right? Beautiful. Take some of these other tough leaves off. Now as this roasts later on, we'll roast them, stuff them with this breadcrumb mixture. That is the way to go. So we're going to roast these for about an hour and 15 minutes or so. And then we're going to take them out of the oven, roast them a little bit longer at a higher temperature so they get nice and golden. We got 4 of these bad boys. We're going to just get rid of them. As I said, these pieces that don't match. Now, I am going to cut that off, like I said, about 3/4 of the way here. Right? That beautiful purple bit. Now, those leaves are very tender for the most part, much more tender than these exterior leaves. But unfortunately, those tough bits are down on the bottom. So again, I'm just going to put a spoon in here and start to peel it away. You could hear it kind of tearing. See that? Now they all start to come out. It's a little bit of work, but it's not that bad. That's why they give it to the young guys in the kitchens, the young kids, men and women, to do this work, because it's not fun. There we go. So again, you want to pull all that stuff out of there. That's completely unpalatable. You can't eat that part. Baby artichokes, that doesn't exist. They're not yet developed. It's only the older artichokes like this that start to have that part. So good. This is like other level, this artichoke. My goodness. All right. So we're just pulling it out of there. This is going to be the one that I get on camera, right? The one that is like impossible to clean, of course. All right, so we're just pulling that stuff out. Yeah, good. I'm going to clean a little bit more with this spoon, and then we'll get those scissors on the exterior. Good. Yeah, see those? There's a lot of that stuff in there. Look at that. Look at that. Wow. So, all those bits are out. You can see how quickly it's starting to turn brown, right? All that oxidization is happening. So I'm going to put it in this water right away. So, and then I'm going to trim these outer leaves of that little thistle that's there. Again, you want to clean them up nicely. Don't kill yourself. Don't go crazy. But these things, it's important to have it done properly. They just become a lot easier to eat if you don't have that little tough bit on the outside, right? Good. All right. So 2 down. Here we go. So about a ½ inch on the bottom, 3/4 of an inch, 3/4 of the way on top, right? I'm going to get some of that acidulated water, as I said, so it doesn't oxidize. I'm going to get in there with this spoon. All right. That one was much easier. See that? Came right out. No more residual bits in there. It's all good. I'm going to clean this part. Just make sure it doesn't oxidize. Clean this part with the scissors. All right, that's good. Let's get this last bit. Good. Last one. All right, some of that acidulated water, as I said, get it on there. Cut it 3/4 of the way. Oh, this is going to be another difficult one. I could see it already. All right. So just scrape that inside. All those little bits are coming out nicely. Nice. All good. all clean, ready to go. Put it in this acidulated water again. Now, let me just clean this work area, and then we'll start to stuff. All good. Let's stuff some artichokes. So I'm going to put them, this pan is cold. You don't put hot pans on cutting boards, but this pan is cold, so it's all good. And we do this mixture, obviously, we want to stuff them nicely. I'm going to put a glove on. So if they're too wet, you can dry them off. Let me get a paper towel and just dry them off on the interior a little bit. This water is an important step, I would say, because you really want to make sure that this stuff isn't oxidized at all. So if it's not in that acid water, chances are it's probably going to be oxidized. So you want to make sure that it's not. So just drying those off lightly. Beautiful. All right, so if they don't stand up on the little stand that you cut for them, you can lean them over. It's no big deal. Or you can trim them a touch. I'm going to trim this just a little bit. There we go. So that's better. Same with this one. So they stand up nicely. Easier to roast. All right, so we got this spoon, we got the artichokes. Now, if you have smaller artichokes, you don't have these large artichokes, it's all good. So I'm just going to take it and kind of press it down lightly so it goes into those little leaves on the exterior there. So that's all good. This is my problematic artichoke right here, but it's going to turn out to be the best one because those leaves are really nice on inside here. So, all right. Right? See the way that's stuffed right inside those leaves like that? It's great. We're going to put these in a 375-degree oven for about an hour and 15 minutes. And then after an hour and 15 minutes, we're going to pull them out. They're going to be covered with aluminum foil. We're going to pull them out and remove the aluminum foil and then let them go for another 10 minutes or so at 500 degrees until they're really beautiful golden on top. Look at that. Beautiful. Beautiful. So before they go into the oven, I got about a half a cup of water here. I'm going to add the water. You could do this in the oven also if you need to. Also, I have a lemon. What I'm going to do is slice it into about 8 slices. And that is going to go in this liquid. With some wine. All right, so I got some wine here. That's going to go directly inside. Good. I have this aluminum foil. And so what we're going to do is we're going to put this in the oven right now at 375 for about an hour and 15 minutes. And then we're going to take it out after that hour and make sure it's nice and tender, make sure those leaves pull away nicely. And then we're going to put it back in the oven at 500 degrees for about 5 to 10 minutes. All right? I'm going to put it in. All good. Beautiful. That's in the oven right now. Now what I did is I in full disclosure, I made this before. This is what we call a swap. So I made this last night, and I woke up this morning, I made 4 of them, and someone ate one of the artichokes. I know that someone could or could not have been me. I'm not going to admit to it. But someone ate another artichoke, one of the artichokes. So we only have 3 in here. So when I pull it out of the oven, don't say, oh my God, what happened to the other artichoke? Somebody ate it. Somebody possibly named Scott Conant also. There's no juniors in this house. All right. So, so this is what the artichokes look like. Look at those bad boys. They are beautifully cooked. These leaves will come out so nice and tender, just like that, right? And that's the bit you eat. Delicious. That breadcrumb mixture is going to be spectacular. I'm going to put this back in the oven for about 8 minutes at 500 degrees because I really want to get this nice and this crust nice on the exterior and on top. But look at those lemons. Hit pause, and I will see you back here in about 5 to 8 minutes. Beautiful. Look at that. Wow. So these artichokes are out of the oven. They're looking great. Look at that. Beautiful. Nicely toasted on top. Take a little bit of this residual liquid in here if possible. There's not much left, but I'll take a little bit. Just a little bit on the plate itself. And these are real things of beauty. Look at that. This breadcrumb mixture smells divine. I don't mind if I do. I'm going to dig right deep inside here, if I may. And this is a nice stuffed artichoke. I hope you like this. This is something that's great for special occasions, good times with friends, sitting around the table. It's a great shareable item, and the flavor's not bad either. Really good stuff. I hope you like it.